Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Good to be on with you today.
Jerry, after having a couple of days to just kind of think about it, let it all set in, what are your thoughts about everything that happened on Sunday night to open up your season?
Well, I think that Dak's injury certainly has taken center front and is a little bit of a red herring relative, if you want to use that term, relative to focusing on the way we played. We have to play better. We had a better training camp than that showed, in my mind. I want to give Tampa really a lot of credit, but we think they're a good team and a real good team, and we did not play well. Our situation with Dak, of course, has caused us to focus a lot of our time and attention to several things to think about there. I think what we're going to do here is we won't be putting him on IR, which means that we want him to be a consideration for playing within the next 4 games. We will not put him on IR. Consequently, the people that are ready to play quarterback for us are the ones that played all preseason, Cooper Rush and Greer. They had a real competition. Greer got slowed there right at the end with a hamstring issue, but he should be through that now. And so we got a lot of good snaps for those guys, both in our practice session as well as all the preseason games for the most part. Those guys know the offense well. They've had a lot of reps in it, and consequently give us our best shot. It's unlikely, since we don't have any potential trade pending, or any, not pending, but in the mill. It's unlikely that you'd have a veteran quarterback that could get back in here and be ready to play as well as those guys can play, even if you thought you might have a talent advantage. The other thing is that we feel very good after surgery, after listening to the medical people, that Dak has a real chance to be back out there throwing the ball pretty quick.
So you think the timeline is closer to the 4-game timeline or the 6 to 8?
I've given you as good as I know how to give, only, as you know, in medical, nobody knows those timelines good. But if we thought he wasn't going to be ready to go for 4 games, until after 4 games, we would put him on IR. We're not doing that. We think he can come in and play, so we don't want to not have him out there practicing. We want him getting prepared, and we'll see how he handles this thing, how it heals, mainly how he can, his strength, how he can grip the ball, what his status is. But that's not being an optimist. The proof is that we got a good surgery, got good technique, and feel better about it than we did Sunday night.
It's a great answer. He gave us a lot. Gave us a lot in there.
That's all you got.
Okay, that's good. Jerry Jones here on The Fan. Jerry, when do you start considering, or how do you answer the question and the topic out there as to whether Dak is becoming injury prone?
Oh, I think that when you look at the limitations that he's had, what his injuries have been, I see where you could point to that, but I do not think that's the case. I've always thought one of his strengths was his durability. He's strong, big, thick. All of that, I think, weighs into it. But I'm not concerned. I know that injury. I know it's how susceptible quarterbacks are to that injury. I think we're in good shape there relative to his status as a viable, having most of the time a quarterback.
Jerry, can you discuss y'all's philosophy on the number 2 quarterback? You've gone both ways. You've brought in, more known names like Castle and Dalton and Orton and Whedon, and now you have a bunch of guys that a lot of fans throughout the league wouldn't know anything about. What's y'all's approach towards that backup QB spot, as it sounds like you're going to go with what you have until Dak returns?
Well, I think you'd love to always be working with a quarterback that could give you the upside. The poster child of that would be Romo or would be Prescott, and have some guys that have people that you're working with or have players that you're working with that have that kind of upside. That's rare stuff. That's rare when that can happen to you. So, but you'd like to all the time have someone like that you're working with in the off-season, preseason, and looking forward. You want to have that experience, especially experience in your offense there. That's important. And then it's the basically evaluation of where you are with the availability of the quarterback that you have. Backup quarterback is that. He's the backup to the quarterback that you'd like to have out there. Developing, you've got usually you think of 3 players on the roster at that position. You can't have 4 with our practice squads structured the way they are today. And so you try to keep a prospective player there. You look in the draft every year to see if there's a prospective player. Then, of course, the obvious is if you should be in a situation where you would really gather your top pick or picks and try to hit on one as you come out. One of the greatest ways to have success in the NFL, coaching or ownership, is to get involved with a team the way that I did, the way Jimmy Johnson did, and come into the NFL and have the number 1 pick 2 or 3 years in a row and have Troy Aikman sitting there. That's a brilliant way to get in the NFL. I'm teasing. That's tongue-in-cheek. I was fortunate enough to have the first pick in the draft 2 years in a row and was able to pick Troy Aikman with the very first pick. Now, hello, NFL.
Jerry Jones right here with Shan and RJ, brought to you by Ford, built for Texas, built for you. Jerry, what were some of the things you found most alarming or surprising about that offensive performance against Tampa?
Oh, I think that our inability to sustain plays you need in any successful drive or certainly successful game, you need to have plays, a certain number of over 10, 15-yard plays. Those are incremental to sustaining drives. We didn't get any of those. I think we got one to their 10 or 11 there in the first 2 or 3 quarters. We're going over the entire game here at 10 this morning with our staff, and we'll really do it. We spent most of our time yesterday on quarterback issue, but the bottom line is that we couldn't sustain really an offensive effort. I thought that our defense, given a normal offensive output or a more balanced offensive output, I thought our defense was up to the task. Although you look at the stats, they did get to running on us pretty good, especially when they saw what they could do outside. But in general, I think the story of the game was our inability to get any offense going. I thought we ran the ball reasonably well and early, but where I thought we miscued is we just couldn't get third downs. That came about by penalties. That came about by just not making the play. And so you say, well, can you correct that? You bet we better correct it, or you can't compete in the NFL, and we can compete.
Jerry, did you get the feeling while watching that the offense was unprepared?
No, I'm close in there, and I will tell you, we didn't. You've got a lot of things you can critique about what we did or didn't do, but I know what we'd planned to do. I know the plan. I know what we went in there with trying to accomplish. we certainly were trying to be protective of Dak. We all see why when you lose him, a player of that caliber and your overall year's plans. But we were trying to be protective of Dak. There's no question we altered what we might have done had we been full-blown healthy out there with Tyron Smith. But they got some guys hurt too. That's the thing about it is you're not the only one walking out on the field with limitations. Tampa had limitations too in their offensive line. So bottom line is I don't want to make excuses for anybody. I don't want to basically pile on anybody. But I'm very disappointed. We're all so disappointed for our fans that we didn't come out here and have a better showing to open this season. What a crowd, what a build-up for the season, what a build-up for the first game. I'll assure you we're going to have to do better than that.
Jerry, Dak obviously did not look great before the injury. Brady was, not his normal self. Aaron Rodgers was not good at all, and they didn't play in the preseason. Mahomes and Josh Allen played the preseason quite a bit, and they were like magnificent. Do you still think that sitting the preseason is the way to go?
Well, when I look at that injury he got, I know why he wasn't out there in preseason. You don't want to leave it. You don't want to leave it out on the field in a game that doesn't count, and that sums it up for me.
Jerry, did Sunday night? I heard you the other day on with KNC talk about zigging and zagging, and you said, "Hey, we're going to change things up with a little different approach in the offseason." You know how much it's been discussed and criticized. You have any second thoughts on Sunday night or afterwards about the way you guys approached the offseason?
Well, the specific significant decisions that we made in the offseason, personnel-wise, we're talking personnel-wise, is Steele had more penalties than I thought he would. That wasn't Collins out there that could have been had we not gone a different way with Collins. I watched every snap he had earlier in the day while he was over at Cincinnati. You did too, maybe. If you did, we'll judge for yourself. But the point is that, I look at those things very, very carefully. I like where we've ended up. I think outside pass rush is one of our fortes. I think we've got. That is going to serve us well as the season goes along, and we can do a lot better than we did the other night. But still, I like the group that we had out there. I don't know that going a different way in the off season at pass rush changes the other night. I don't know that it does. I won't speak to because I don't know if not having Collins made a difference out there the other night. But still earned the spot. He's earned the right to start out there, and that's not pointed toward him. We're just talking about the decisions, key ones we made in the off season. But look to your basic receivers.
Yeah.
You immediately would go to Amari Cooper, or you'd go to Wilson. Those two receivers. You could criticize us there. Because we didn't do well in our pitching and catching out there the other night. I think if certainly we get Dak back, we've got a chance to do better there. Gallup's on the mend, coming quick. But if I were going to critique it, I'd say looked like you might have been shorter than you could have been had you kept Cooper. On the other hand, you were paying Cooper $20 million a year. And you basically, I know that I've had it put up there both ways and come back at me. It feels better when you're not paying out the $20 million than if it happens to you and you are.
Great, complete answer again, giving us everything in that. Thank you for that. Jerry Jones on the Fan. Your assessment, Jerry, of Tyler Smith's first game at left tackle, and how does this McGovern injury maybe move him with your Jason Peters acquisition?
Well, I think the McGovern injury is a substantive adjustment. we're counting on him. But let me say that I don't think it is a longer-term one as they go, but you could be talking about a couple of ball games. But I thought Farniak came in and actually played good enough to go. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
And can we do better there? We've got some depth there too. So yes, we can. The one that I'm really proud of is Smith, Tyler Smith.
Yeah.
And I think by any definition, you've got to give him his due to come in there and have his first game in the NFL and start at left tackle. We know what a prospect he is, but I think he held his stead real good there. And I thought our center played really well. And we'll win a lot of games with him having that kind of game at center. So there's some things to look at, but not much to smile about because of just literally how we just didn't meet the task at all, and that has to be corrected.
And Jerry, how do you feel about the Jason Peters timeline and where to put him on that line, and maybe moving Tyler back to guard?
Well, it depends on his evolving with his conditioning. He didn't have camp, but boy, am I glad we got him. And we'll have a spot for him. There's no question that we're going to be using him before we're out, and maybe sooner rather than later. But again, I won't be more specific. But he can play both tackles, and so there's all kinds of ways and all kinds of combinations here. By the way, that's a problem when you're having to do all kinds of combinations in the offensive line. There's a compatibility of play that's staying at one spot, no matter how good a player you are, lends itself to a better offensive line. But still, I think we've done pretty good by having Peters come in there. McGovern shouldn't be long. He shouldn't be out long. And we had a good job done by Smith, young Smith, and we got help on the way.
Jerry, Micah was a menace, basically anywhere you put him on the field. But as a strict edge rusher, he won 60% of his individual pass rush matchups. That was tops in the league in week one. The next closest was 47%, so he was way ahead of everybody. I really can't bribe you with anything. I don't have that kind of money, but what can I bribe you with just to make him a full-time edge rusher?
Well, you've got the point. I think that you want to mix it. You really do want to mix it up and not let, since he's such a force and he has the ability to move around. That's a real advantage, and I see that. On the other hand, when you start talking about a top edge rusher, other than the quarterback, that's the most valuable thing there is in football, in my view. And so he's not as premier to be good at a position. It's not as premier for him to do things other than outside rushing. On the other hand, that rush he made in the middle and spin move he made in the middle was the thing of beauty, and you got to get that. You get that, it might put outside in second place as far as effectiveness in a pocket.
Jerry, before we let you go, you know better than anyone the anticipation, the excitement, the buildup of an NFL season, and how disappointing Sunday was. What do you say to the Cowboys fan who thinks that this is over? The season is already over before it begins. If you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're done. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I have. One of the things that has stood me about football, and I'm comparing it to the things that we all do every day away from the football, is that it can be looking very dark for you, and then it can reverse on you in an instant. It can go positive in an instant. Now, if you've got, we've got a lot of football, we've got a lot of really top football players, and we've got an outstanding group that's coaching them up, in my view. And in no way, when you play the amount of football that we play, that you can basically throw cold water. You can think negatively, and everybody does, and that's normal. But, boy, we've got a lot of positive things we can do. I have seen it just look hopeless and walk out there and David slay the giant. I've seen it done. And at the same time, we buy us a little time here, catch it up a little bit, get Dak back out there. But he's very capable of coming past this injury and having a great season. I emphasize that. And that's not selling. That's just, if he didn't have it and we didn't have it, it would be different. But we do. And so let's hold what we've got, get this plane kind of landed right now. Let's patch up the holes, and let's come back at them.